What is going on, YouTube? So coming back today with my Duke Blue Devils football preview for 2016. So talking about a team last year that went 8-5 overall, 4-4 in conference, good for tied for fourth in the ACC Coastal Division. So let's go ahead and start with the first of my three key players. I'm going to start with the quarterback, Thomas Sirk. So Sirk did rupture his Achilles this February in I believe involuntary team workouts, and he should be ready by the time the season comes around. But again, preseason might be a little bit of an issue. See if he can get back in shape before the season does come around. He was big in 2015, led them to a bowl win against Indiana, and was able to put up some decently big numbers, over 2,600 yards and 16 touchdowns. I believe he also led the team in rushing. So, get into my second key player for Duke, and that is Jayla Duncan. So he's the best running back in what will be a pretty deep stable of running backs, also led by Sean Wilson. So, Duncan coming back for his redshirt senior year. I expect big things this year. The backfield honestly should be the focal point of this offense, and I'd say this backfield has the ability to rush for over 1,200 yards this year combined, maybe even 1,500. So get over to the defensive side of the ball, and my first key player there, which is the lone returning defensive line starter, and that's A.J. Wolf. I think Wolf could be a star this year. More importantly, he's going to have to help the rest of the guys along the defensive line get acquainted. I think two big names to watch out for this year are Marquise Price, Dominic McDonald, the two defensive ends that should be stepping up this year. Again, Wolf, also the lone returning senior along this offensive line, so he's just more important than his play. It's just going to have to be his leadership. So moving to the first X factor, and that's Thomas Sirk's health. If Sirk cannot return by the time preseason's in its prime time of workouts, it's going to be tough. I mean, you don't want to put in a new starter because Sirk kind of is the heart and soul of this team, but at the same time, you're going to have to look for other options. Parker Beam, Quentin Harris, Daniel Jones, the three other guys that could be competing for that starting gig should Sirk not be able to return. So my second X factor is the defensive line. I mentioned it earlier with A.J. Wolf. They're just going to have to be able to replace all the talent they lost last year. Three starters are gone, and it's going to be on these new guys to step up and really step up in a big way. I mean, this is a conference they're playing in, mainly a division they're playing in, that has a whole lot of good running backs. Miami, Joseph Yerby. North Carolina, Elijah Hood. Virginia Tech, Trevon McMillan. Pittsburgh, James Conner, Quadri Olison. Georgia Tech just runs the entire option scheme. And you got to play Notre Dame with Taryn Folston. You got to play Northwestern with Justin Jackson. You got to play Louisville with Lamar Jackson. You got to play Virginia with Taquan Mizzell. And then you got to play North Carolina Central, who maybe has one of the best running backs in the FCS. So, again, defensive line's going to have to be big this year. So, moving to my trap game for Duke, and I think it's going to be Georgia Tech. I've had Georgia Tech as a lot of my trap games because Duke probably will be favored heading into that game, or it's going to be close at least. They do have to go to Bobby Dodd Stadium in Atlanta, and Georgia Tech I expect should be better than last year. So, my biggest game for Duke is going to be North Carolina. Now, North Carolina, a team that obviously coming off defending ACC Coastal Division champions, and Duke's also Duke's biggest rival in the ACC. They get them at home. North Carolina just derailed them last year, and I think Duke's going to be pissed off, ready to go. Again, I mentioned a million times, you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. So, get into my record prediction for Duke, and it's honestly a really tough schedule this year. I think they're going to end up going 6-7. I think a 6-6 regular season, that's pretty optimistic as is with a bowl loss. There's a lot of question marks with Sirk's health coming into the season. And the out-of-conference schedule is not doing them any favors. Having to go to Northwestern and to Notre Dame. They also have to go to Louisville, to Miami, and to Pittsburgh. And then Virginia Tech, North Carolina, and that's about it for the home games. Again, tough schedule. I still see them making a bowl game, probably a bowl loss. But anyway, that pretty much does it for this preview. I'll be coming back later today to round out today's previews with Georgia Tech. So that's pretty much it. See ya.